you guys, I went to a concert the other night, right? And I'm going there and they're like, hey, we need you to empty out your pockets. And all the people that were going to this show, we were emptying out readers, AARP cards. It was so sad. There was no drugs, there was no alcohol, there was just readers and hearing aids. It's terrible. Tums.
Milk of magnesia.
Milk of magnesia.
What show was it? Neil Diamond in concert?
No, dude. I swear to God, the last time I went to see AC/DC, if I went to the concert, it was Dodger Stadium. It was right before Brian Johnson left the band, and I remember I took my son, and as we're walking into the venue, they had all the merchandise for AC/DC, and at one point I was like, if they sold walkers, AC/DC walkers, they would crush it. They would crush it. Just it's so weird when you see, because I still don't think of myself as like a dude in his 50s. I think of myself as a bro, and then I get called sir, and it's such a kick. It's like, what? How did I'm a dude? No, sir, you are not a dude. Yes, I am. Like, I am fully transitioning from bro to sir, and I'm not ready for it.
Yeah, no, that's like, when my daughter's friends are, Mr. Stanford. I'm like, no, please, Scott is fine. Our parents were Mr. and Mrs., right? Your friends never called my dad by his first name.
But that's how I felt at the Pat Benatar concert. I'll tell you that. I just saw Pat Benatar recently in concert, and I was like, okay, I think I'm the youngest by about 15 years right now, and I'm not that young. And I was like, wow.
When you go to a show like that, especially like, just when you guys, had John on there, he was talking about so many different references, from, the Tonight Show with Johnny to doing Jay Leno and all that. It is kind of crazy when you're like Tina Turner, like passing away, like you guys said. To me, Tina Turner, that's the MTV. How many days after school did I have to sit through a Tina Turner video? And even then you're like, okay, I don't get it, because I'm really waiting for Judas Priest video, or maybe, remember when you'd stay there because someone would tell you that dude, they're going to play Motley Crue, I think.
Yeah, like, okay, Duran's coming up soon.
No, Metal
exactly.
Nation.
Exactly. You'd wait all day, but you respected Tina because you were like, oh my God, look at this woman. She is laying it down. And then when, you knew she was friends with the Stones. So you're like, all right, all I know is this. Supposedly Tina taught Mick how to dance. Yeah. And when they dance together, it looks, there's something going on. They like each other. Like, you could figure that out at 15. And with those references, it is crazy because one of you said, like, phrases don't even exist anymore. Like I said to my son, who's 19, recently I said, hey man, hard work pays off. And he's like, does it really? Like
it's like an existential question. You're like, huh?
Yeah. And he's like, Dad, have you watched YouTube? I don't know if you need to work that hard. There's a guy that opens boxes and he's making money.
Yeah. And by the way, I tell my kids now, I'm like, listen, I'm going to sell it to you straight. Hard work doesn't always pay off, dude. It doesn't always pay. You'd like to think so, but you need to be more lucky than hard work, right?
I know.
What about this one, Scott? When I was a kid, mind your own business. That's no way. Mind everyone's business right now and report them.
I said, my mom used to say, oh, you're cruising for a bruising. And I came out, right? You're cruising for a bruising. Yeah. My son goes, I could call the police department. I was like, what? You're going to call the police on me? What are you talking about? She goes, you can't hit us. You just can't hit us. It's against the laws.
No more belts from your father. Nothing.
My mom used to hit me with a hairbrush. To this day, if I see a hairbrush, I'm triggered. She would just pull it out. Like, I don't even know how she Bruce Lee fast. Like, just the back of it. Or what about when your parents said, go pick out a belt, and you had to go in there and pick your own belt out? Your own. I mean, if that doesn't turn you into someone that's going to be
out a belt.
I was like, that was mental torture. Yeah. You're like,
you got a soft one, Dad?
My parents were so do-it-yourself because, I grew up in Santa Cruz Mountains, and they were so, they wanted me to be so independent that not only would they say, go pick out your belt, but they would say, Joe, you need to spank yourself. And it was like, what? Like, so do-it-yourself. Take yourself in the room and spank yourself with the belt. I mean, I'm lucky I'm not wearing latex right now in this interview with you guys, with the dungeon behind me.
Now at 50, Joe, you're doing it for fun anyway. So what's the difference?
I knew that was that. I knew you were teeing it up for that. Hey, Joe, we had a question because you were from Brooklyn.
Are you from Brooklyn, Joe?
No. I'm actually, so I know I look like I'm from Brooklyn. My mother's from Philly and my dad was from Queens.
Oh,
okay.
Queens.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
You never grew up in New York, right? Did you grow up in New York?
No. I lived in New York in the 90s, and I lived on Bleecker and McDougal in the 90s, but I've never.
Wow, Bleecker and McDougal.
I know. I was in the thick of it. Oh my gosh.
In the good times, yeah.
So, Joe, listen, man, you got this great special out now, 800-pound gorilla. You don't even know. I watched a lot of it the other day, and really just funny stuff. And you seem to really embrace the stand-up and the I just lost the word. What's the stuff like Seinfeld does? They call it
observational.
The observational stuff. And you just, a lot of the stuff you do it. And I notice you don't get really that dirty. Most of the stuff is clean, and you're really just, you're doing it from your own experiences. As you always, you got a 19 and a 21-year-old.
Yeah.
And you do, it's just life's experience that half of this stuff is hysterical.
Thanks. Well, first of all, man, thank you guys both, Scott and Suki, for having me on the show. And thanks for, when you guys mention the special and that you like it, that really means a lot. Cause
excellent.
As a comic, the only way that I'm going to be heard above the noise is by folks like you having me on. And you're right. My stand-up, when I started, I don't know, I got some good advice from a buddy of mine that ran a club here in LA, Comedy Magic Club. It's where Jay Leno performs a lot. And he came to see me and he said, I really love your energy. And if you can learn how to be funny without swearing, it'll really make a difference for you. And I don't know, I just kind of took it on. Now in real life, I'm swearing all the time, but for some reason, when the mic goes live, I just don't swear. And I don't know. I not to be the old guy, but it's like, the comics I grew up with that I loved, whether it was Jay Leno, Johnny Carson, or, and then, of course I loved Pryor and Carlin, but the guys that spoke to me didn't swear. And I just kind of like, all right, if I can be funny without swearing, then, and I'm not saying that the comics that do, because, there's a lot of comics that swear and they're hilarious, but for me, I love when I come off a stage and people come up to me, young people, and they're like, dude, you were just on stage for like an hour and you never said one F-bomb, and you never said, and and it really kind of puts you in a different light amongst the crowd and amongst other comics. It's kind of, and especially when I'm around comedians, because I did a show last night, everyone up there, F-bomb. And I'm fine with it. And then I go up there and I don't. And then you can see, comics afterwards are like, wow, you know what? That was pretty cool. It was almost like a magic trick, which I love doing that. I just love standing out that way.
Yeah.